Welcome to episode 411 of the Find Your Food Voice podcast. Today, we are breaking down GLP-1s, gentle nutrition, and so much more. Let's get to it. Welcome, fellow voice finder, to this episode of Find Your Food Voice. I am Julie Duffy Dillon, registered dietitian and your host. This is a special episode. We have never, ever done a live podcast recording before, but last week and this week are snippets from our live episode that we did to celebrate the launch of the Find Your Food Voice book. Have you read it yet? What do you think? I am dying to know what you think. I hope you like it. And the Find Your Food Voice book is out anywhere you like to buy books. You can ask your librarian for it. You can get it on your Kindle. And I am so excited to be able to continue the conversation on what is in the book, things that I left out or wanted to expand on more. We're talking about it here on the podcast and also over on my Substack, which is the same name, Find Your Food Voice. I would love to have you over there as a subscriber. So check it out. The links to all that are below. And this episode, what makes it so great is we had a portion of the live broadcast where we opened it up for just live Q&A. I love AMAs. They're my favorite thing in the whole world to do. So we got questions on gentle nutrition, one of my favorite things to talk about. I think there's so much important nuance. And I have a whole chapter in the Find Your Food Voice book about my kind of take and how I encourage you to explore the concept of gentle nutrition. I actually call it curious nutrition. And then this episode, we also got a really great question on GLP-1s. What we decided is we didn't have enough time to explore these two topics, so we definitely will devote whole episodes to them. I'll probably write some essays on them as well. And yeah, let me know. I would love to know what other questions you wish people asked. We are always looking for feedback. So shoot us an email, info@juliedillonrd.com. Or if you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube, you can also put in the comments below. We want to make this podcast what you need as you're navigating this hellscape that the diet industry has created, and to help you build new ways out for all of us. All right. So with that all being said, we're going to get to this episode after a very quick sponsor break.
Do you mind if we go just a few extra minutes for one that came in on the live that I think would be great to just touch on for a moment, and then maybe we can expand on it in another diet culture?
Yeah, let's do it.
There's lots of questions around this.
Okay, let's do it.
I do feel like this is something that we can and should do a whole episode on, but I'm totally down to do a quick
I'm
one.
so intrigued. I can't see the chat, so tell me what it is.
Okay,
Julie, do you want to guess what you think it is?
Yes.
No, don't ask me that. That's like asking me my favorite color. I don't get it.
Way to set a boundary.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll just share it out. Liz has shared topic for IRL. Love this. All the ads about the injectable meds for weight loss, GLP-1s and GLP-1 GIPs, they are all over TV ads. And then Liz also shared they are in the medical field, and meds are being proposed for every illness short of cancer treatments and mental health practically. So just rapid fire. I know we don't have too much time, but definitely want to hear some thoughts on this, and then we'll continue this conversation. IRL.
Yeah. This is a new age of diet culture from this medication, and it is very familiar for those of us who've been around for a while of our time with fen-phen, and I'm expecting the same kind of outcome. The only difference is like it's even messier because this medication has some qualities to it that is really like a choice that helps people. Mm-hmm. And because it has this side effect of malnutrition, because really that's what it is. It's a side effect of malnutrition. It then is like flashing, like and pumped up so much to be this thing that's going to basically erase body diversity. And it's dangerous. It's scary. And the other thing I'm thinking about with this too is like there's so many people who now have like dabbled in GLP-1s for weight loss that they're starting to experience kind of their complicated relationship with food again, because the medication is wearing off, or they're just not able to take it anymore, or they didn't tolerate it. And that's a big part of why finding your food voice is so important, because people talk about like, oh, it's GLP-1s are something that take away food noise. And for some people, it's where they do for the first time feel like they are not distracted by their food thoughts. But something that we talk a lot about here is like, the food noise is, yes, exhausting, and it's from something. It's there for a reason. And that's not because you're broken. I think it's because of diet trauma. That's why it's there. It's like chronic, long-term diet trauma is why I think people get the food noise. Anyway, but yeah, when I saw the GLP-1 commercials in a form of a gummy, there was a lot of cussing that happened. I was like, what? No, we are not. We're not going down that path, but they are. Yeah. What do y'all think? I'm sorry. I just couldn't stop.
I think the thing that, many things about it frustrate me. Partly just the bombardment of it. Like, I think, I've been watching stuff on Hulu, and literally like in a minute and a half ad break, I get like 3 GLP-1 ads. And it's just like the amount of, when I think about the amount of money that's being thrown at advertising these medications, like that on one level is infuriating. But I think the thing that I don't think is explicitly said enough, and I don't say this explicitly enough, is that when they talk about it being a weight loss drug, that's because it literally like takes away your desire to eat. Like you're starving yourself. And like that's what's causing the weight loss. And I know I need to start being more explicit in that framing. I heard that a few weeks ago, and it really kind of shifted something in my brain.
I'll just add the last thing that is tricky about the use of is also the rising cost and demand that it, I think, inadvertently pushes on people who really need this medication. Because, with lots of folks wanting to get their hands on this, kind of how our system works, and big pharma and insurance and all of that, it's like, okay, higher supply, more demand, higher prices. And so I get a little concerned about the people who really need this for their own treatment. So yeah, that's kind of my like 2 cents on it, if we're doing the quick round table on this.
Yes. It's so hard to do a quick round table. We have some episodes on it too. If you're listening, you're like, oh, I want more. We have a few. We even have an interview with a therapist who's on a GLP-1 and was just so generous with their experience. So check those out. But I know we're going to move on to another topic, but I just want to say near the end of this, we are going to do a Q&A. So start plopping those in the chat. If you have any questions for me or Coleen or Rachel, we are happy to answer any kind of questions, just to have a chance to see what y'all need.
Yeah. So we're going to move into our favorite part of the book, which, we touched on why we were excited about the book, but now we really want to dive into, what the highlights are. So Julie, want to start?
Sure. So when I was writing this book, and I think I saw my friend Jennifer on, so hey Jennifer, because she knows about this. When I was writing this book, there was something about the experience of like sitting with a client that it was more than just like reading a book, right? It's like this experiential time where you, sometimes we would eat food in sessions and talk about how that experience was. And so I knew I wanted someone to like have this something outside of the book to go to. And so the reason I mentioned Jennifer is she's on this Voxer chain with a few of my friends and colleagues, and they helped me brainstorm something called the Voice Finder Chord. And if you're watching on YouTube, You can see I have my original one right here, but this is there's a part of finding your food voice that includes these check-in prompts rather, called chips, and these are things that you do to kind of ground and help connect to your body in however you need. And so this voice finder cord is a part of that process, but it helps you weave in just all these different parts that we need to mend and tend to when it comes to finding our food voice. And so I'm really excited about that. Something that I was like, I spent so much time just to think about, like, how could I help the book just come alive in a sense and have something tangible. So I can't wait to see people's voice finder cords when they make them. So email me a picture of yours. I would die. I'd be so excited. So that's the thing I'm most excited about is to see that.
I keep saying new mom because it still feels very
You're
new.
still new. Yeah.
My baby is now almost 14 months, but like it still feels new. And I had a really tough time in the hospital. My birth story was pretty traumatic. And so something that really stood out to me in reading this was the mend chapter. And how that really ties into our 5 basic needs, which are sleep, hydration, oxygen, shelter, and food. I really like this and the book in general because Julie is just such a natural storyteller. I love how she shares short stories throughout and ties key points together. And being someone who was just in the like toughness of having a newborn and figuring out like, okay, any lifeline that I can kind of grab onto at this point. And it was like reminding myself of those basic needs like sleep, hydration, oxygen, shelter, and food. So that really stood out to me. And I hope you all enjoy that chapter. I think it's a really good chapter.
Thank you. That's the one chapter where I feel a little bit like a little vulnerability hangover because I think I talk about my bleeding nipples at some point.
Which I relate to. So I'll just be vulnerable with you right there. Yeah.
Yes.
So I have many favorites, but chapter 9 talks about the concept of nesting, which I think is really important. But before reading the book, if you would have asked me what I thought nesting meant, I would be very focused on like my space and making sure my space is one where I feel like calm and tranquil and relaxed. But I really, really appreciate that in that chapter, Julie talks about boundaries as a form of nesting and like different types of boundaries. And also, as a chef, this is really important to me, the idea of like reclaiming meal prep, which is something that we've talked about on the podcast many times, but that also being a form of nesting. And I just really appreciated kind of the expansiveness of that concept and all of the different ways that it can look, especially if you live in a place where you can't, for whatever reason, feel truly at home and safe and nested, realizing that there are so many ways that can look.
Yeah, even if you don't even have a place to feel at home in your body in your own home. I mean, I know for so many people, they don't have that. We talk about ways in there to build it yourself and work towards finding community however you can. Yeah.
Love seeing those hearts flying in the live. So thank you all for sharing the love. Quick reminder, I know we keep reiterating, but we do have that live Q&A. So think of those questions. It's just on the horizon here. So we're going to do a little behind the scenes on the book now. So Julie, would you share with us favorite snacks while you were writing, where you wrote, share some of those behind the scenes moments with us.
Okay, sure. And it's funny whenever, you guys ask me those kind of questions, like, what's your favorite snack? And I'm always like, I can't choose. It's so hard to choose my favorite. And it's my Enneagram 4. I just can't make those kind of decisions. But I can tell you how I ended up successfully writing this book, because it was not successful in the beginning. Because I thought I would do what I heard most writers do, where you just like go for 8 hours and write 1 or 2 days a week and just dump it out, basically. And what would happen to me is when I would try those kind of hardcore writing days is I would feel so horrible, usually getting a migraine. So it would like take 2 or 3 days to recover. And then I was like, I don't want to write again. So it made me not like enjoy it at all. So what I did instead was I found if I was able to write 150 to 300 words most days, that I was going to get my book done. And so that's what I did. And so sometimes that took 10 minutes. Sometimes that took an hour or two, kind of just based on what we were doing. But, it just happened. And so there were times where I needed snacks to get through, and there were times there weren't. But whenever I would be like almost done with like a chapter, I'd be like, it's all in my head right now. I just need to keep going. Perfect bars. I hate the name of Perfect bars, but I love the way they taste. And they like granola bars to me are kind of like, if I eat a granola bar 10 minutes later, I'm hungry. It's not the tool I need, it's not satisfying. And Perfect bars to me are the thing that like, they just feel like really satisfying. My favorite flavor though is gone. Salted caramel, Perfect bars. Can someone help me? Can we bring them back, please?
That's so sad.
I used to,
delightful.
they were so yummy. I used to be the one at the Greensboro Targets hoarding all of them. Sorry if you're if you were looking for them there too. But I don't know what it is about it. I can't find them even on their website anymore. So they must no longer be making them. But that was one of the highlights, and tons of sparkling water, depending if it's cold out, it was hot tea. And if it was hot out, it was unsweetened cold tea, and like Triscuits, Cheez-Its, any of those kind of cracker things. Also, like I didn't say this, but I thought I was going to write in my office, but I ended up not. I didn't like writing in here, and I wrote on my bed with Doug. And usually there'd be a big pile of all those snacks right next to me. So,
and who's Doug?
Oh, Doug is my dog. Yeah, Doug's my dog, who you all also got to meet, and he jumped all over you all, of course, because that's what he does. I would not allow him in the studio tonight or the backyard because there are rabbits all over the place, and he would have been just, not polite. So,
so this isn't behind the scenes, but I do think it's worth mentioning and chatting about, and would love some audience participation on tell us about that sign behind you.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I forgot that it's even there. Do you like it there? Does it look so cute? I'm eventually going to put a nice like frame around it. But so that is a poster that we had at our live in-person event on Friday. And it says in really big letters, I am finding my food voice because, and I let everybody who is there to fill out why they are finding their food voice, like why you're going to work towards not dieting anymore, why you're going to recover from your eating disorder. And people put in so many really cool, diverse things. It was just really wonderful to read. And I'm gonna put something on that I'll put in my email, I think next week, and I'll share all the responses so people can see them all. Yeah.
And if you have something that you'd like to add to the board, please feel free to type it into the chat. We would love to see how you're finding your food voice, and we can share some of those out as well.
Yes.
Awesome. Hope you're all thinking of those questions and answers. I know we got a few. We solicited some questions prior to the event, so we'll start asking some of those, and then
let's do it.
We can, have folks chime in as things pop up. Sound good?
Perfect.
Great.
Okay. Awesome. So, Julie, were there any parts of the book you felt were particularly challenging or particularly easy to write?
Yes. So let's start with the challenging first. Okay. So chapter 2 was hands down the most challenging one for me, because that is the one, the chapter is called Seduce, but it goes into all the oppressive systems that are a part of the diet industry. And I just found it really ironic, but that was the part where I had so much perfectionism, and it was hard for me to sit down and actually write. It was really, really hard for me to actually like do that. Chapter 2 was like about all those oppressive systems, and I felt like it's almost like they were like on my shoulders while I was writing. It just felt really hard. And then the other one which it's probably the chapter I'm most proud of, is the chapter on diet trauma. It's something that so many of you have shared with me your experiences with your eating disorder and chronic dieting, where things would trigger these experiences. Like if you had been eating enough and recovering from your eating disorder for many years, and then randomly one day you got a salad for lunch, people would tell me all of a sudden they would have these like floods of like food thoughts and pushes to exercise in a way that was not okay. And like things would happen that were just really triggering. And I really wanted to frame it and like write down as much as I could about how to help you in those moments, because that's something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. And but it was really hard because it's hard to like really sift through all that nuance and put them into words. And it's hard enough even in a session for clients and I to like be able to kind of get to what's going on. So it was just challenging to write down. But I'm really proud of it because I think it is something that's really important, and I look forward to talking more about. What did I like the writing the most was the epilogue. I know when I read books, I don't always read the epilogues. I definitely skip the prologues. Don't skip them in mine because I think they're like the fun part, like they're the stories, right? And the epilogue in particular, I really love because I wanted to have a way to not be like toxically positive, but I wanted to like kind of give you a way that the stories were concluding for the book, but not like, and not that everything was flowery and wonderful, but really just to help you to like hold on to something to move onward. And that's what I was hoping to put in that section. So that was so fun to write. And and I had to write that one in like one day too, because I was at my due date for my manuscript. So I wrote it really fast. So I'm glad that I liked writing it because I had to do it really fast.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think people are very interested to hear this. I know it's interesting to me to hear, what was challenging, what was also I think it's like kind of funny and in true Julie fashion, like that you're like, oh, I have to write this super fast. Like for those of you who don't know, like Julie is like she does not like to be like under pressure, like
No.
the anxiety. I mean, nobody really likes that, but like
No, I
Julie
really
especially
don't.
likes to live in like a
Mm-hmm.
comfortable ease. So like her just like cranking that out and then having it be her favorite part of the book is like I think that's ironic.
Yes. I'm like, if you look at my astrology, I'm like all grounded signs, like or earth signs. So like I just need to be grounded all the time. And yeah, it's probably a bit rigid, but it's just the way that feels good to me. So yeah.
So I'm curious. So I know every chapter starts with like a story, a Dear
Mm-hmm.
Food letter from a client, and I'm curious if there were any of those that you found particularly challenging to write.
Let me make sure I'm answering this correctly. Were there any letters that were particularly hard to answer, or to like, is that what you said?
Yeah, to write about.
Yeah. Um, they're all like, the thing about a food letter is it is something that is, I hate how religious this sounds, and I don't mean it to sound religious, but I always just, it's the only word I can think of to capture it. But I think food letters are very like sacred. They're very special. They hold a lot of pain and hope. And so all of them kind of contain something that makes me feel like I need to handle this with care, you know? And and it's like such a gift that like someone's so generous to like show their vulnerability. So they're kind of all equal in that regard. Um, the one for chapter 2 that talks about like oppressive systems basically within the family. I don't want to say it was the hardest, but I was just so it was just so moving to read that letter. And so I'm really grateful for that one in particular, but all of them, yeah, I don't know. They're kind of all equal. Again, it's like, which one was the hardest is like the superlatives are always hard for me to answer. So I hope that answers it enough,
Like who's your favorite kid? It's a hard question.
Yeah. You know what I say? I'm like, you're my favorite 16-year-old and you're my favorite 12-year-old. Like I don't say favorite kid. Yeah.
Someone asked a question about not necessarily maybe it is Finer Food Voice related, from T Brit 7. Could you share your thoughts about the idea of gentle nutrition?
Yes. I actually love this question. There's a whole chapter in the book about it,
I
but
was
I
like,
just don't.
wait, I think it is.
Yeah. This is really important because I think, gentle nutrition, in case you've never heard of that concept before, you may not have. It is this concept from intuitive eating. And, intuitive eating is this, has 10 principles, and it's this like how to heal your relationship with food and all that. But then the last principle is all about, okay, this is what you can do to like help promote health. And the way that a lot of my clients, when I would be sitting with them, would talk about gentle nutrition. And I talk about Elena in the book, who goes hangs out with her family, and is like a special holiday, and ends up eating a lot more foods and just kind of feels kind of sluggish. When that happens, when you just sort of like, oh, I kind of feel like not very energized right now because I had lots of fun and lots of pleasure with the food. And she came into my office and was like, now I need to eat differently. I need to do gentle nutrition. Can you help me? And it was more coming from a place of fear and also feeling really crappy again about what happened the night before. And the thing with gentle nutrition is usually when my clients would talk about wanting to do it, and what I talk about with Elena in the book is like, let's pause for a second. We can go through gentle nutrition, basically using medical nutrition therapy or like tools to help change health with food. We can talk about that, but let's talk about why you want to do it right now. And in the book, I talk about how Elena was feeling just really ashamed of her eating that day, and that was kind of pushing it. And so if you're in this place where like, I really, really need to change my eating for my PCOS, or I need to change it for my cholesterol level, or to prevent diabetes, I would encourage you to just think about why right now. Why do you want it right now? Because just like we were talking about before about like the rushing and urgency, gentle nutrition, when it has an urgency behind it, um, oftentimes it ends up being a fad diet and being pushed by shame instead. And so the way I encourage you to explore gentle nutrition is through this concept of curious nutrition. These are these experiments that I lead you through in the book. And you have to start with a place of eating enough first and foremost, like always that first, you know what I mean? Like, and then experiment with what to add and notice how your body reacts to it. And this needs to come from a place of curiosity and still permission. Like, if sometimes when we like push gentle nutrition or um, really explore health only as it relates to our food choices, instead of and let go of that unconditional permission to eat, it ends up for many people provoking a relapse in their eating disorder or starting a new one, or going back into the diet trap where you just kind of feel sucked back into that cycle. And so yeah, I hope that answers it. But yeah, gentle nutrition it's a concept that probably one we could probably spend some more time again on the podcast. And I have a lot of opinions about it because I think it is something that people, when they feel the need to really hurry up and get to it, it almost always would backfire. And so if you can find a way to help, like to let it be added to your life instead of being this thing that you feel like this pressure to go to, then you'll find that you'll figure out like what foods in particular are ones that you want to include more often. Yeah.
I think that was a beautiful answer, Julie. And
Thanks, Coleen.
thank you for asking that question. It takes courage to ask questions and chime in live. So really appreciate that. Final kind of question before we move into our next bit, which is the giveaway. So just get excited about that because you have a shot at winning a book. What would you tell someone who is just starting to find their food voice?
I think if someone is just starting to like ask the question and start to like consider other options, oh my gosh, you're there. Like you're doing it. Like just keep looking and keep asking questions and wondering if diets, if they really were going to work, wouldn't they have already? Just kind of really just start letting the doubt continue to trickle down. And then the other thing I would say is find people who already have done some of this work. And if you can be like Coleen and Rachel, you've talked before on the podcast how the two of you really helped each other, support each other as you were going through this process. Like whenever you can find someone else who's either along with you or a little bit ahead, it's going to help you to keep going. So yeah, that's what I would say. And make sure if you're kind of new to this process, like listen to the podcast and listen to some of the conversations that the three of us have on the podcast, and then also on our email newsletter, we talk a lot more about concepts that I think will continue to add some more just some more mojo as you're making this move, because it's a big deal. And I think if you're minimizing it, I would encourage you to not do that. Like this is a really, really, really big deal to move away from diet. So we're really proud of you, and we have hope that you'll be able to make it happen.
Yes, and welcome to the Find Your Food Voice journey.
Yes, we call you voice. You're a voice finder now. Yes,
yes, voice finders unite. I want I want us all to unite our voice finder cords.
Yes, that's a good idea. Yes,
that'd be so fun. Just thinking of how beautiful that would look too.
Yeah.
So okay. Big giveaway time. So, those of you who have stayed with us and are still on live, if you are interested in winning a free copy of the Find Your Food Voice book, please drop your name into the chat. Rachel's going to collect those names, and then we're going to do a live giveaway.
Love
Julie,
it.
I'm curious, while we're waiting for folks to put their name in to the chat, do you want to tell us a little bit about what is coming next? I know you've got some exciting Substack related things in the works.
Yes. Yeah, just like lots of other people, I have moved away from a lot of my social media. So I am going to be doing a lot more on Substack. And so if you're on my newsletter already, you're already going to be getting it. So you don't have to do anything. But I'm just going to continue to grow it there and have some new things that Coleen and Rachel and I will be doing to help that just grow into something more. So definitely add me if you're watching on all the places, I don't know, YouTube or LinkedIn, and you're not on my new email list. You can find me on Substack. It's just Find Your Food Voice. That's my newsletter name there. And so add me. And I think I just hit enough people there so I can do a live video. So I'll be doing that. Those are fun there. And yeah. So join me. And I hope to write another book. Come on, publishers, let me do it again. I loved writing. So one of the things that was kind of a BTS thing that we didn't mention was that when the publisher reached out to me, which was 2 years ago last March, or 2 years ago in March, the publisher reached out and they actually wanted a PCOS book in the beginning. And so I was like, yeah, I'll write a PCOS book. But then we kind of pivoted to a book for anyone with a complicated relationship with food first. So I'm feeling pulled to do that PCOS one. So maybe that'll be next. So that's what I'm hoping.
Yay.
Someone manifest it with me. Come on.
Manifesting.
Yes.
Okay, Rachel, we have some names. Are you putting them into the wheel?
I'm putting them into the wheel as we speak. Last call for names before I press the spinny button.
Ooh, drum roll.
All right, drum roll. Click to spin. Woo! It's spinning. You can't see it, but it's spinning. It's spinning. It's spinning.
We believe you.
And Paula is our winner.
Woo! All right. Yeah, just email us at info@juliedillonrd.com and we'll get it right to you. I'll be mailing you this one right here. That's the one you're going to get.
Okay, we are a minute over, but just want to do a quick brief kind of grounding activity. If you can and you're able, get comfy in your chair or your bed or wherever you're watching and close your eyes. I'm going to close my eyes too. And really, I just want you to take a big, deep collective breath with us. So in for 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out for 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And really, I want you to think about and start wondering what it would be like to start finding your food voice and to be a voice finder with us. And really just hone in on some of the things that are starting to make you feel like you might be either ready to start that journey or ready to help support a friend continue on theirs. And we all just want to thank you so sincerely from the bottom of our hearts for being here this evening. You can open your eyes and just enjoy the rest of the evening. And thank you so much for celebrating with us the Find Your Food Voice book.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for trusting me and the team with everything. And thank you for spending this time with us. See you next time.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.
So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a thrill to record, and I kind of now am obsessed. I want to do more live recording. So I don't know. We'll see when that can happen, but it was just so much fun. Next week on the Find Your Food Voice podcast, you're going to be hearing from my guest, Wendy Lopez, and we are unpacking some topics on PCOS, insulin resistance, really getting into the weeds of gentle nutrition. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the episode. Remember, if you want to continue this conversation, join me over on Substack, where I'm writing essays and making more content that talks all about building new ways away from the diet industry and building ways that all of us have a new way to enjoy our relationship with food without relying on diets. I want to say that this show could not happen without the magic behind the scenes of Coleen Bremner and Rachel Popik. Coleen Bremner, as she said in this episode, is Hype Woman Extraordinaire, and she helps me with a lot of the nuances behind the scenes. Rachel Popik is our PCOS community manager over in PCOS Power, and she also is the person who really keeps this podcast up and running. I am the editor of the podcast episodes, so great job, Julie. And so thanks for listening. Thank you for supporting our team. And I look forward to being in your ears next week for another episode of Find Your Food Voice. Bye for now.
Home is with you wherever that may